Hey there, Agile Adventurer. Just a quick question. What if, for the price of a fancy coffee or half a pizza, you could unlock over 700 hours of the best Agile content on the planet? That's audio, video, e-courses, books, presentations, all that you can think of. But you can also join live calls with world-class practitioners and hang out in a flame war-free and AI slop-clean Slack with the sharpest minds in the game. Oh, and yes, you get direct access to me, Vasco, your Scrum Master Toolbox podcast. No, this is not a drill. It's the Scrum Master Toolbox membership. And it's your unfair advantage in the Agile world. So if you want to know more, go check out scrummastertoolbox.org/membership. That's scrummastertoolbox.org/membership. And check out all the goodies we have for you. Do it now. But if you're not doing it now, let's listen to the podcast. Hello, everybody. Welcome to our Team Tuesday this week with Wasim Osman. Hey, Wasim, welcome back.
Hey, Vasco. Good to be back.
So, Team Tuesday, of course, is the topic of today. But before we dive into the team story, share with us, Wasim, what is the book that most inspired you in your career as a Scrum Master?
Absolutely. So I think the book that comes to mind is The Difficult Conversation. Where the Difficult Conversations, How to Discuss What Matters Most. It was a book that was released, I think, in the early 2000s. But I think I've gone through quite a few books like over my career, like that kind of like would train me, give me the idea of like how to kind of blend in and have like less friction among different teams that I work with. This book stands out, particularly because of it breaks down how conversations kind of happen, like in general, like what part of what different parts a conversation can take. So the three different areas that it goes over is basically like the three different kinds of conversation that happens is like what happened in a conversation. Like, say, for example, if a conversation became difficult or easy or whatever the case is, the first is the content that comes in. What did you discuss? And there are conversations where we only talk about feelings, although there were other agendas, but feelings take the most, like the center stage. And then there's the identity of a conversation, is that when a situation implies about who you are, whether you're competent, you're good, you're lovable, etc. So I think that although this is a very simple take, this book says like all conversations kind of falls in either of like any of these three types. And it kind of is very interesting for me because I originally, when I read the book, I always thought like, there cannot be only three types of conversations. There's so many different kinds of conversations. But it's very easy to, like, once you've gone through the book, you can kind of like put any conversations into one of those funnels. And it's very easy when you're equipped with that knowledge, it's very easy to understand like what the biggest problem or the agenda of the meeting should be. This helped me hugely with retrospectives. I know we go into retrospectives later, but particularly there are times when a retrospective there's like one big highlight of a retrospective, one big problem everyone is talking about that needs to be resolved, and that retrospective is a follow-up of a retrospective that had the same issue discussed in the previous time. So this time around, there's a lot of feelings, a lot of frustrations, like why we couldn't get things right. So that, like, the feeling, the identity, the what happened, like, the what happened type of conversation happened first. The second conversation happened, like retro happened with the same topics, is now about the feelings. And when you're able to identify the conversation to be a feelings centered conversation, you know that maybe the problem is not that nothing was followed up. It was because maybe one or two of maybe the people inside the team that were not okay with a few of the decisions that were made in the previous time. That was the underlying reason why many of the action items were not taken care of. Maybe. So maybe it requires a broader conversation. So I think this book, it's just a little astonishing for me that these three different kinds of conversations, I kind of like get into any conversation and can put like any conversation into within these three funnels.
That is a wonderful book. Definitely a big recommendation also from my side. So I'll put the link on the show notes. Make sure that everybody can easily find it. Difficult Conversations. Um, Now, Wasim, today's Team Tuesday, of course. So we need to talk about the teams and how sometimes they become their own worst enemy. So share that story. Tell us about that team. What was going on? What was like kind of the context of the project, maybe the size of the team and so on. And then what did they do? Like what was that approach, that set of behaviors that eventually escalated and became a problem for the team?
So I worked with actually, yeah, I mean, I've been lucky enough to work with so many teams over the better part of the decade, the last decade or so, that I think one of the teams that really stands out, to begin that at the answering your question is that no team is interested into deliberately destroying their outcome
Yeah, they
or
don't do
their
it on
team.
purpose, of
Yeah,
course.
nobody does that on purpose. So, it's let me tell you I'm gonna share my story more I'm gonna share a story about it. I think that's gonna be more like organic. um so I was with a team that was working on a software as a SaaS a product that they were building. um the product had nothing wrong with it. A lot of potential for improvement that we were working on at the time. The teams were following Scrum. We were rapidly building a lot of features. There were a lot of bugs, but we were probably a little disorganized in terms of kind of handling those bugs. Um, but the problems started when we could not really prioritize between bugs and features at times. And so what we did was like we waited a long time. Rapidly, we were developing things, not necessarily the best quality of software, but at the like say for example, after 4 months or a quarter or 2 quarters, our customers would come in and they will say like, okay, so you've built 5 features, 4 of them have bugs, and we've been reporting these bugs quite a lot, and you guys are not working on them. And we knew about that, but the decision we were a little overconfident, thinking, oh, bugs, we can handle them. So what we originally thought, like, okay, so why don't we use like 1 quarter to do all the new features, and then after that quarter is finished, we'll concentrate for 1 month only on bugs, fix all of them. We'll be like our software is going to be absolutely perfect, and then we're going to go into continuing building new features. This actually did not work so well. So what happened was like we built a lot of things, and then when we started to look into the bugs, we found out like there were underlying bigger issues with those decisions that needed to be connected when we were actually building those features. As a result of that, we were in a the bugs were being like had a snowball effect. So we wanted to we some of the engineers suggested we need to do a refactoring of the entire code base of
Oh,
certain
wow.
parts.
Let's say
Yeah.
rewriting.
hmm Yeah, yeah, and because of that, and because we were packed with our product roadmap had absolutely the future months packed with this is gonna be like this month, that's gonna be that month. And when we came up with okay, so the bug bashing 1 month has made us realize we had more bugs than we than we had reported. So there was a little bit of a conflict there, but it was very late when we realized that we should have had like a percentage of bug fixing with development alongside, and also have like much more thorough testing of when we're developing software to have them tested before we ship them. So we would have less bugs. This was like while this was going on. It was not the most, I would say, the
So what
stable.
happened? So
Yeah.
the team was overwhelmed, too many bugs, we need to change too many things. I'm sure pressure was mounting because, of course,
hmm
the product management and other stakeholders were probably not very happy about the message. What happened then?
So there were also like some of the engineers. So one of the teams, they were so the fixing of the bugs got delegated to one particular team so that they would be taking care of that. They were not very happy about that because they got demoted from building new software, which seemed more prestigious, right? So they were like, why are we being cornered to doing this? And that was not resonating very well. And that made that team to not work very well with the teams that were building features. So there was like a little bit of disparity. But we had to dig ourselves out of there, So there were rapidly, we tried to focus on how to make decisions in order to come out of that hole that we just dug for ourselves. But at the same time, there was a decline between the teams, that they were they're being resentful towards each other. And at the very height of that, the company got acquired by another company from another country, and they were very waterfall-y, and we were very Scrum. So they were trying to suggest.
So there was a lot of conflict, and then
yes,
waterfall came back, and I bet all hell broke loose.
Yes, our head of engineering then left the company.
Yeah, I can see those piling up.
And two senior engineers, the chief architect also left. It was just chaos.
Yeah. From there. It was everybody was SOL, as they say. When you look at that story, I mean, it's hard to kind of take lessons learned from what is an act of God, quote unquote, when somebody from the outside comes and buys the company out and says, you all must do waterfall now. But when you look at that story for yourself as a Scrum Master, what are one of two key learnings that you want to make sure you highlight for people listening to this story?
So I think it's very important for a person who is in a product owner, a Scrum Master, or Agile coach position from that particular height to voice something out, which I did, but I think if I did a little bit earlier, that could have had some more impact. There was no captain in the ship at that particular point, so the head of engineering was a little bit cornered because the parent company was pressuring him into accepting waterfall. But they seemed open. The engineers were not very comfortable, but they did not have a platform to speak out. So when I was speaking out, I understood that, the engineers needed this to be made clear a little bit earlier, at least a quarter or two earlier, so that they would know that, okay, we have the freedom. They're not pushing this on us. We're just assuming that they're pushing this on us. And because that did not get voiced out early enough, we were in a limbo. So it became a
self-fulfilling prophecy, right?
Yeah.
That's actually it's one of those things. Self-fulfilling prophecy is an expression we kind of just throw out every now and then, but it's a very real thing, right? Like the fact that people didn't voice what they wanted to voice led to later on others expecting that they were pretty okay with the going back to waterfall.
Absolutely.
And the fear became a reality just because it was a fear in the first place.
Yeah, absolutely. And at the same time, when you talk about self-fulfilling prophecy, I think one of the things that needs to be a critical balance in a sensitive situation like that is that if you speak too much, then the engineers think okay, so you're making the decisions and they cannot really voice out anything against that. If you stay silent for too long, then they'll think okay, we don't have nobody making decisions for us. So which direction do we go? Yeah.
Even conversations need to be iterative, people.
Yeah.
Even conversations, just like that book highlights. It was a wonderful story. Thank you for sharing that with us, Wasim.
Anytime.
All right, I hope you liked this episode. But before you hit next episode, here's the deal. This podcast is powered by people like you, the members who wanted more than just inspiration. They wanted real tools and real connection to people who are practicing Agile every day. We're talking access to over 700 hours of Agile Gold, CTO level strategy talks, summit keynotes, live workshops, e-courses, deep dive interviews, books, and if you're into no estimates, we got the pioneers of no estimates in those deep dive interviews as well. Agile business intelligence, creating product visions, coaching your product owner courses, you name it. You'll get invites to monthly live Q&As with Agile pioneers and practitioners, plus a private Slack community, which is free of all of that AI slop you see everywhere and, of course, without the flame wars. It's a community of practitioners that want to learn and thrive together. It's the best place to connect with community and learn together. So if this podcast has helped you before, imagine what you will get from this podcast membership. So head on over to scrummastertoolbox.org/membership and join the community that's shaping the future of Agile. And we have so much for you. So check out all the details at scrummastertoolbox.org/membership, because listening is great, it's important, but doing it together, that's next level. I'll see you in the community Slack.
We really hope you liked our show. And if you did, why not rate this podcast on Stitcher or iTunes? Share this podcast and let other Scrum Masters know about this valuable resource for their work. Remember that sharing is caring.